So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
To the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better stop swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are changing.
They certainly are. Good evening. It's 12:02 on the eastern seaboard from the half-moonlit, star-filled skied mountains of Southwest Virginia to the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. How are you, Howie?
I'm a little disappointed. I thought you were going to let that run a little bit longer. I didn't know you were going to do it, and
well, you know.
Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be he who is stalled. For the battle outside raging will see you shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changing. Our mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you're painting in your hand, for the times they are a-changing.
How's that? See, it's our show. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I could have probably just said, "Hey, John, could you play a little bit more of that?" But now, yeah, things are changing, and things are changing. I think this has been the greatest week that the Pedogate community has had. If people don't realize what is happening right now, things are in motion, and I'm not by nature an optimistic person, but yeah, something is definitely in the air.
Yeah, and it was weird. We were kind of feeling it, about a week ago, and it's just kept going, and having Matt on and hearing what he had to say, and all the big wheels that are about to fall in that whole spider web of evil. it's really heartening. And everybody I've talked to, I talked to Trish this week. I talked to, and something really strange and good, I think. And I talked to Tim Hotham today, and he read me a tweet that was made by no friend of Donald Trump. It's a reporter with one of the, I think the Bangor, the major paper in Bangor, and he had tweeted, and you can see it on Twitter. We retweeted it. It was seemingly a message that Donald Trump sent to his people in Maine, talking about an executive order that would basically close down the attorney general and their courts. And God, I'm trying to get a hold of Lori Hanrahan, because I would really be curious, because that's her. I mean, that's her area. That's where her child was stolen. I know Adam Rattertree's been all over this, and Tim is ecstatic, and I can't blame him. And the other thing, and like I go by the one coincidence rule, but what happened to him today, he was followed by General Flynn, and that's two coincidences. So I'm sold that it seems like at least the executive branch of government and the president, it knows what the hell's going on and is trying to do something about it. So on so many levels, there's just so much. I don't even know where to start. So you just lead me down the garden path tonight, Howie, because there's just so much of it that I just, I'll talk about. I know this is part 2 of an open secret, and we are going to get into some of that. And I really want to talk about these pedophiles that are basically still at large. Thank God a few of them are on the offender website, but I want to talk about what happened in that case, and how basically they were let off with a slap on the wrist, and this
well, I guess we can do that. I guess we can do that in the second half hour. Hopefully everyone listening has seen an open secret, and so they have the background. But I really like this pedo wood. We've gone from Pizzagate to Pedogate, and now into pedo wood, which seems to be getting, more traction than, probably, we've ever had. And, and sitting at the center of this is Corey Feldman, who put out, did you see his video?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
That was
right.
Very concerning.
I kind of made the mistake of not watching it all the way through, because I think he was asking for money for a movie, documentary or something. Or
he has a plan, and he wants to do, and I'm sure he can do a wonderful movie.
Right, but you know what? And people had said, like, listen, enough is enough already, Corey. Like, you're putting out these videos, you're saying your life is being threatened, and I'm not doubting him, but at this point, with everything that's going on, it's time to start naming some names and once again, you have the backing of lots of people in this community to put pressure on law enforcement to do their jobs.
Yeah.
So when I saw the video, the first, and I saw some of the comments, like, what are you talking? Like, yo, just name the names. Like, go to the people.
Yo.
So, I was telling John
the Philly thing. Yo.
Yeah.
Names.
Right. It comes out every now and again. But, I watched the Corey Feldman video, and I said, this seems like something for the FBI. So I called the FBI Los Angeles, and I basically, whoever I spoke to on the phone, I'm not exactly sure who she was, but, after a little back and forth, and she was a little confused as to why I was calling and who I was. And, and I just, when people ask me who I am, I say I'm a citizen of the United States of America. And she's like, that's fine. And she was cool about it. And, she asked for the link to the video. I gave her I read it off, and she read it back to me and confirmed it. She said that she would have, then take a look at it. She did say it was more of a police matter. I I said to her, well,
you are the police.
Well, yeah, I said hypothetically, let's say he's, the police do know about this and they're not doing anything about it. So, could you just take a look? And I mean, can someone just go talk to this guy? Can someone just go talk to this guy and ask him, what he knows?
Yeah. And I think and everybody listening needs to make that phone call. It's a phone call. Make it. And my point with the FBI, when they say it's a police matter, is it's a organized criminal enterprise that's handled by the FBI through the federal RICO statute, not to mention all the anti-federal child trafficking statutes that are in place. So, it's not a police matter. But the FBI are the police. They're the federal police, and it's time for them. I've been tweeting at them all day, and the Justice Department. It's like, what are you waiting for? This guy to die, or have some bad end? I mean, what exactly are they waiting for? Not to mention all the victims in the an open secret. I mean, it was obvious, and to anybody that watches that movie, that these are hundreds of crimes, thousands of crimes that have taken place by each one of these offenders. They're all linked together. They all have business relationships. This is a RICO case, for God's sake. I mean, it's not, I'm not an attorney, but this is just ridiculous. It's federal. I know it crosses state lines. You just know it does. And that's what was kind of, when I heard Matt say that, that they were telling him, if it was only international, we could help you. And it's like bullshit, that if it crosses a state line, it doesn't have to be international. And if it's just Vegas or, somewhere in that, they're crossing state lines with these kids, so, it's time for the Federal Bureau of Investigation to get involved, and the Justice Department, and from what I've heard, they are opening an investigation into Harvey Weinstein. So why not take this into it? I mean, it's all basically the same thing,
right? I mean, if there's whether it's a sexual assault of an adult or it's a sexual assault of a child. I mean, it's it's a different crime, but it's still. I believe they're both felonies, right?
Yeah, and okay. No statute of limitations. And this week, a former president of the United States was alleged to have committed 2 sexual assaults, and we're just from
a wheelchair.
Yeah. You can imagine what he did when he was getting around on his feet, and we know that. And what I'm trying to do is get VC Bester to come on the show and. God, his name just escapes me, but it was the young man that was carrying the nuclear football when Reagan got shot, who was a victim of
okay, right.
The same guy, and that guy, George Herbert Walker Bush, who was up to his neck in the Franklin scandal and diddling kids and God knows what. And the DC pedophile networks, and I mean, this is just, but he's been accused, and these are crimes. They're not, and the asshole, they have the nerve to, have their PR people put out that he's sorry. He's sorry. Well, I don't know if I went out and say there was a woman standing in front of me in the line at the grocery store, and I did that, and then I said I was sorry. What would happen, Howie? I would be prosecuted for a felony, sexual assault, and I should be, and so should he. So,
well, I mean, when I first read that, George, it was on the Twitter moments. It was George Bush says he's sorry that so whoever accuses him, makes accusations of him sexually assaulting her. It was like, says he's sorry that a woman made accusations of him. So I was like, wait, is he sorry that she made the accusations, or is he sorry that he did it? It was very ambiguous, and I tweeted to that.
And I guarantee you, in his heart of hearts, he's only sorry she made the accusations.
But we're right. But you didn't exactly say. But if there was any sorry out there, it wasn't like, this is absurd. There was nothing. This is absurd. This is, ridiculous. And this is going on and on and on. There was another, when I woke up this morning, I don't know. Do you know who Mark Halperin is?
Yes.
Okay. I only knew him. He's, a political, whatever, commentator. Hack. Hack.
Lawrence O'Connell. Fucking hack.
Yeah. And he and this other guy had a show briefly on MSNBC, but anyway, he was accused by 5 women. So like they're all coming out of the woodwork. So like now the investigators are going to be quite busy, where all around the country, because now women are just going to start coming out. But we have to keep pushing. It's not just women. It's we got to get people to that next level. But like I said, people need to be, need this sugar coated. Someone on Twitter tonight was posting pictures of Tony Podesta art that he likes to collect, photography of, semi-naked children. So he was posting these pictures, and someone came in and was like, basically, WTF is wrong with you. And it's like saying to the guy, who was doing the posting, and it's like, don't post this stuff. Well, how else are you going to get people to see what's going on? He's not posting it. He's posting it to show what is being collected. Oh, you don't want to look at it, dude? You don't want to know about this? Well, you know what? Tough shit. Because this isn't even, it's not even what, this is just, photography. When the real stuff starts being exposed, we hear about it, but nobody ever gets to see it. Then people are going to be in for a real wake-up call.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Let me just read this. This is this email or something, and it looks pretty official to me, from Leo Manning. It's got a USA.gov email address, Abby G. Subject: message from the United States Secret Service. Message body: following is a blurb for your press corps in Bangor, Maine, from United States President and Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump. Fellow Americans, please accept my most warm regards during this period of transition. So a period, I'm thinking this went out, during right after he was elected, or shortly after he took office. I've been briefed again as to your plight in Penobscot, Maine. As most of you know, I've signed an executive presidential order to help close your courthouse and district attorney's office. Most people of Maine are honest, hardworking citizens, but have been hurt and traumatized by the recent injustices that have come to light. To be blunt, I'm not happy with your culture, Bangor, Maine, and I will continue to exercise due care to find a solution to help even the people who have maliciously harmed others. Please stay focused and feel free to email my office at any time. The link will be directed to you. So, thank you, Donald J. Trump. So that will be interesting. And I don't know why somebody who seems to be an anti-Trump person would even post that. I don't know. It's strange, but hopefully it's got some basis in fact, because there's no courthouse that needs to be closed more than a few of the ones up in Maine. So.
Well, because we know Tim, this is one piece of the puzzle, but the puzzle pieces are spread all over the United States. It's in Washington D.C., it's in New York City, it's in Philadelphia, it's in Maine, It's obviously in California. It's everywhere, and it's hard. I think right now, as with the information that's coming out, new people are, at least, in my circle on Twitter, people that I've never seen before. I mean, and I'm not talking like one or two, like every day there are new faces, and not just retweeting stuff, putting out information. Yep. Like, I mean, there's a movement going on, and we have
really good information too.
Yeah, and with so much coming out every single day, and so many people doing research, we have to sort of make sure that some of this stuff doesn't get lost, and when we try and keep it focused. And Twitter's actually good for that. Staying on hashtags and. I haven't been on Facebook. I don't know what's going on the Facebook side. I would assume that, things are, jumping over there also. But, listen, it has begun, it definitely has begun. And I don't think it's any type of coincidence also that, we're all like sort of out of nowhere. We're getting, JFK files released, things we had, that were held back for 50 years that were supposed to be released in 2013. And, that 50-year deadline came and went, and Obama never said a word pretty much about it. I don't think he said a word, but if he did, so be it. He obviously didn't do anything about it. And, for people that were on the fence about Trump, believe me, if Donald Trump wasn't president right now, would we be talking about JFK files? And then, this is, in our modern history, post World War II, conspiracies and, let's start right with JFK. I mean, that's like, it's pretty much number one. That's kind of where it starts.
That's where the term was coined by the CIA, conspiracy theorists.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they got together.
How come John? How come you know everything?
I don't know everything, but I know some things. I know that. But yeah, they got together, and they knew there was going to be pushback from all sorts of areas.
Well, magic bullets. Woohoo!
Their official story.
Crazy people that don't believe in magic bullets.
Yeah, so that's what they came up with, and my God, what an effective tool it's been, because it's still in use today. But like everything, it gets old, and now if they're not calling you that, you're doing something wrong, So
yeah,
they're having to they need to change their game, and I don't think they have a game to go to now, So
yeah,
we'll see.
One of the okay, I'll tell you a quick story because I guess we got time. But one of the, it was maybe like the third rally I went to, and I was still holding. At that time, I was still holding a Stone Tier sign. Paul Gambetta, Hillary Clinton's, IT guy who went on Reddit, blah blah blah. So that's initially what got me on Twitter. But so. Joe Biden was speaking at community college right outside of Philadelphia, and I rode my bike up there. It was probably like a 5-mile bike ride, and I got a little bit lost. And anyway, I got there, and so I'm the only one there. Now, if I knew about the video, I didn't know about the videos then. I would have gone in and done something. But I didn't even know about the videos then. So I wasn't, I wasn't focused on Joe Biden. I was just focused in on the Hillary Clinton aspect of it. So a local reporter came up to me. I didn't know he was a reporter at the time. And he started, he just came up to me and was just talking to me. And I don't remember exactly how it got phrased, but he said, so like you're a conspiracy theorist? And I said, yes. And he was like, oh, you admit that? And I remember it as clear as day. And I was like, yeah, I admit it. Why not? So he go, some people have that, negative connotation of a conspiracy theorist. But yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of being called crazy. And he actually interviewed me and put me in his paper, and that was the first time I got written up. And I was like, I didn't think I was like, should I look for this thing? He's like, yeah, look for it Sunday. And it was like actually in the Bucks County Courier Times. And I'm like, and that was sort of like a thing, like, my parents couldn't believe it, like idiot, crazy son. And, gets it right up in the paper. But, it was all, we kind of got started that like, I admitted that I was a conspiracy theorist, and he was shocked that I admitted to that.
I've been okay with it shortly after 9/11. I mean, I could give a shit.
Oh.
When I saw those buildings go down, I really, what they called me really was of small consequence. But talking about the Kennedy stuff, WikiLeaks apparently, I guess Trump put a 180-day moratorium on the release. I'm sure he was lobbied heavily by the intelligence agencies, but WikiLeaks has put out some sort of reward for that information. So I don't care how it comes out, and yeah, I'm glad it's coming out because, like you were saying, it needs to be in the history books. But we know, we know who murdered JFK. And George W. Bush was right there. He was one of them, and George Herbert Walker, excuse me. But that whole family, and I hope people realize the Clinton family and that family, they're the same family. They're just different states, different locations.
Yeah.
But
I
think they're actually blood related, which is even more disgusting.
Yeah, they say. I don't get into all that, but nothing surprises me. But all five of them get up on stage, in Houston, and Obama, Clinton, even Jimmy Carter, made an appearance. But
poor Jim.
Yeah, but if you go back, if you look at one connection that they all have, at one point or another, I believe they were all members of the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
So we've talked about that. The CFR documentary, Council on Foreign Relations is something that everybody should be aware of. The think tank.
Yeah, go. The NGOs. They're right there. They're International Center for the Study of Global Politics. It's right there, black and white. Follow the money. I was having something that's kind of off topic, but not really, is something really exciting that's going on. I got a call about this from a friend, and this guy is a genius, as far as I'm concerned. It's a website. It's called yournews.com. Go on there and check it out, and it's linked into your zip code, and this thing is on fire. It'll probably bypass newspapers as a thing. And,
wait. Are you talking about Your News Wire?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
No. It's called yournews.com, and this guy.
Okay.
It's an incredible idea, and he's going to make a ton of money. And what he's doing is he's getting local radio news networks to form it's a network is what it's going to be, and they take responsibility for the local areas. They do local content. People can publish. They're gonna end up buying some place like Breitbart or some outlet to get them permanently entrenched. But the stations are popping up, and they're going right around the local newspapers, because the local newspapers for the most part are a joke. And it's just catching on like wildfire. And a lot of people like Trish and George Webb and Jason, they're going to have jobs, because they're going to, however this shakes out, it'll be like an umbrella or news organization that, needs content. And there's people like Sibel Edmonds, that are kind of, they're there. they're getting a message out, but they're kind of frozen to get it out nationwide. Well, this can do it, and I've seen it. And I mean, he walked me through the website, and I'm actually going to be making some calls to all those people mentioned to make sure they're aware of it, because I'm sure they'll figure out what to do with it. But pretty amazing. So that was just a little hope, and I told him, I said, I hope you're prepared, for some pushback, because it's such a great idea that I know he's going to get some. But the only way they can do it is, federally close them down. And I think in the current climate, that's going to be really hard for them to do. But it could, like Matt was saying, they can't get anybody from the freaking LA Times to write about that documentary and expose this issue. Well, this would take that all out of the way. And the one guy he's already working with, who I actually know, who's done great work on the Saudi connection to 9/11, is Dan Christensen at Florida Bulldog, and he's publishing his stories, and they're getting nationwide attention, and they're set up through it circumvents the shadow banning that's going on Twitter. It circumvents, the stuff that Facebook is doing with the timelines. It's really amazing. And what an idea. This guy is just, I was like, damn, I wish I was that smart, because he's going to make a load of money. And he really doesn't have to do anything. It's basically, it's a win-win situation. And for the local, news station that's taken over that particular area, it's a win for them because they get 70% of the ad revenue, and it's a win for him because he doesn't have to do any work and he gets 30% of it. So he's got I think it's 20, networks or local stations set up already doing this, and he's going to have 20 more within a week, and it's just wild. So at any rate, and people like you and I could end up being able to put content through that system and get exposure that we're not getting now. And believe me, we'll be advertising our show on that. So just something to think about. It's kind of off topic, but there's just so much stuff going on that's really positive, and can you imagine somebody like George Webb or Trish having a national platform, or Sibel Edmonds, and they could, any one of them could walk into NBC News and do better, or replace Lawrence O'Donnell and do a better job. It's so hopefully this will be a vehicle. Yeah, Larry crazy ass O'Donnell likes to scream at people, I guess. So,
well, he likes to scream at the people that work for him, well, I don't know, I don't want to get on that, but his defenders were like, we've all had bad days at work. What? Nobody bad days at work. Whatever. All right, why don't we jump into
these
more of an open secret, and because listen, Hollywood's hot right now. I think they're going to be suffering greatly at the box office, which is, wonderful,
Well, again, and while we're doing that, just thank you to Matthew Valentinus and Gabe Hoffman. Follow them on Twitter. It's at Matt, MATT VALENTINAS, and Gabe is at Gabe HOFF, I believe. And both of them are producers. Gabe is the money guy. He put $2 million out to make this thing. And I think Netflix is going to pick it up. But at any rate, just thank you to them. And also at AN Open Secret, all one word, lowercase. Follow them. Keep up. They've got a lot of information, and more information is coming out. So, support these guys, support the documentary, go to Vimeo, watch it, share it, whatever you have to do, get it out. It's the only documentary on this subject, and it's the only documentary since Conspiracy of Silence, in my mind, that was made in the 90s.
We didn't really get to we talked. We didn't really talk to Matt too much about the content. I don't know. I thought it was more interesting allowing him to speak about trying to get it made and what he's trying to do with it now, and the goal, the ideas, and because obviously if you watch the movie, it does speak for itself. But he did say that a lot of people have said that there were only males, abused males in the movie, and that was not, well, we didn't get across, but that wasn't their intention. They tried to get to other people, but for whatever reason, they just couldn't get any females, on camera. I mean, they had victims, but it wasn't in their best interest to put that in the movie.
Yeah, and they're there. Obviously, they're there. I mean, they're coming forward a dime a dozen right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot more. I'd love to see those guys do a sequel. I don't know if they will, but what I wanted to talk about tonight was the Hall of Shame, the cast of the infamous that were in that film, and number one, and all of these guys. It's obvious from watching the movie, there are thousands of people that these guys victimize. Thousands of individual crimes, counts that could be charged. I just want to start with this Marty Weiss guy and just go through, and because we need to do stuff like this. You need to go on the website, take a screenshot of these guys and post them around. Tweet them at SAG. Tweet them at you could do something with your social media. Put them out on Facebook. Share them in groups on Facebook, because people need to know who these people are. And you're not threatening them. You're not disclosing where they work or anything like that. But people.
You're just letting know. But he's been convicted. He only served less than a year, and got out on time served.
Which is ridiculous. And to see that DA in that film, well, you look at that charge list. That guy should have done years in prison. I mean, and I don't care. Matt was a lot more conciliatory towards it, but I don't cut them any slack at all. To plea bargain that down to where that guy gets time served in a county jail is ridiculous.
Right. Well, it's not ridiculous. Something's up with that. It just obvious that
all this outrage, there's enough to go around. So when you're directing it at Hollywood and the administration of these companies, you need to get that DA in the loop there, because it's
and for anyone that can't, has seen the film or has not seen the film or has seen it and can't remember, Marty was the talent agent.
Yep.
We say, and he. And he was very close to, one family, to the point where they brought him, to the house. Basically they made him part of the family. And this is another thing too. Like, every victim in the movie, if the parents had been aware of what goes on, these parents, they were happy that their children were, getting work, but they didn't necessarily seem like those stage parents where they were, really pushing it. But they just completely, it wasn't even a thought in their mind that the guy, that the agent was spending inordinate amounts of time, like outside of work, playing basketball with them and, being at family functions and taking them out for, whatever. They didn't see anything wrong with that. They just thought he was a cool guy. And basically, any adult that wants to spend, quality time with young kids, it's a red flag. It's a red flag.
Yeah, and I'm tweeting out his sex offender registry picture now. And I'm tagging SAG-AFTRA, because SAG-AFTRA's got a lot to answer for. And their new president, because after all this came out, the Michael Hara guy just walked away into the sunset. The guy who admitted to molesting a guy on tape in the video, and blamed all the victims. Just the most disgusting apologist crap for these, child rape, and was doing it for 30 years, and he's allowed to walk away. But their new president, Gabrielle Carteris, needs to come out and address this, and they're not going to just be able to go along.
I wouldn't hold my breath on that, John.
Yeah, well, I will be holding their feet to the fire, and I hope other people do. Because if SAG doesn't come out with a policy that no convicted sex offender will work in that industry, period, they're complicit. It's ridiculous. I mean, the state should do that. Well, yeah, the state should do that, but that doesn't stop them from having their own policy. And why wouldn't they? What's the downside for SAG to have a policy that does background checks on whether you're pushing a mop or you're a teacher or whatever job you're fulfilling on that movie set around those kids? You need to have, if you're employed by that union, you need to have gone through a background check. And if you're on the goddamn sex offender registry, you need to not work in that industry, period. Yeah. Okay. So,
well, they might be a little short on employees after that happened.
Well, too bad. Tough titty, said the kitty.
Yeah, the thing, I'm saying, like, maybe if all the stuff started coming out, like, a lot of people, there'd be a lot of, openings.
Yeah. Well, we'll fill them.
We know. Like, listen, the rules do not apply to them. This has been going on, way too long. Did you ever?
Well, they're starting to, and they're going to pay through and that I agree with Matt, on that aspect. They're going to be paying a shitload of money out over these cases, and the shows are, and if the union isn't protecting these kids, they can sue the union, and it's sad, but that's really all they understand.
That's what. This is going to be off topic also, but did you ever? Somebody had done a video on YouTube about Shirley Temple and the Good Ship Lollipop and the symbolism in that. Have you ever seen that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I won't be able to speak eloquently on it, but her theory was that it was guys around her. There was all this, Luciferian, satanic, whatever, symbolism, and basically it was they were the guys on the Good Ship Lollipop and the Good Ship Lollipop name itself, everything. They were pedophiles, and they were, it was like they were preying on Shirley Temple, even though they portrayed it. I've never seen it, but she broke down the scenes and explained everything that was going on in there. It was very interesting. And if you go on YouTube and you just you just search Good Ship Lollipop, maybe I can tweet out the video if I can find it as you're talking. Interesting stuff. Interesting.
Yeah.
At least food for thought. Like to think that this pedo wood thing has just, popped up in the last, 15, 20 years. I don't believe that. I believe that there's a culture there that goes back.
Oh, absolutely.
As long as, yeah.
Yeah. As long as they've been around, they've been,
right. And if we found out that, Shirley Temple, of all people, the squeaky clean, first child star type, something happened to her, it.
What in the hell is going on with Twitter, dude? I'm trying to tweet this guy's picture out, and it's not going on the Twitter line.
Really?
That's very odd.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm at a loss here. I'm on the traffic report.
Well, anyway, so we got getting back to an open secret. So we have Marty Weiss. Should we go to Mark Collins Rector next?
Yeah, that creep.
And like some people, you don't want to judge people by their looks, but that dude is just is just a creepy looking guy.
Yeah, a bald creeping. He would be
the type of guy you look at and say something is not. Ew, he's weird looking.
Yeah, wearing his ball caps and that scumbag. And I want to do some in-depth research on him, but obviously, through the movie, he ran DEN. The what scares me about DEN, I guess it was just as well, but they were before their time, and had they had the internet that we have today, they would have been quite a force, but they didn't have there wasn't the internet capability. But that's just kind of a scary thought that I had. But this guy, just a serial child rapist, that period. I mean, that's all he is. And he figured out a way to be in a position of power and get victims. That was his business plan, I think. Because the actual at the time they did it didn't make a lot of sense, because they didn't have the capability to really put their product out because of the bandwidth that was going on. So that was kind of weird over the whole thing. But obviously he was the ringleader. Raped. I mean, it has to be hundreds, or probably thousands of counts of individual, child rape. And again, he flees from prosecution. They bring him back from Spain. He goes through, basically gets a slap on the wrist. He's allowed to get out of jail. There were large civil suits, and he owes the three victims, Mike E., Alex B., and Mark R., $4.5 million in civil judgment. So he skips out. He's allowed to skip out to England. And recently, he married an 18-year-old kid in England. So, he's doing exactly the same thing. And it's just disgusting, the whole. And really, watch the documentary. But there's such a larger problem here with, even when they catch these assholes, the prosecutions are a joke. The penalties are a joke. If they have money, the way they can get around these charges is a joke. And all that's going to have to change, and maybe if they get a flood of prosecutions and all this light on them, it'll have to, or basically you're wasting your time even prosecuting them. It seems, but yeah, he was allowed to skip out, and after fleeing from prosecution, and being caught overseas, then coming back and still getting a slap on the wrist. Like I said, Howie, if that was you or I, we'd be buried underneath the jail, and I think part of it is some of the judges in this the legal system are compromised, and they are allowing this sort of thing, allowing plea bargains, allowing stuff to happen that shouldn't be happening. So,
well, one of the things that I've noticed throughout the past year when looking at sentencing is that none of it makes sense. It's just completely all over the board. We were talking about Tim Hotham, and his pinned tweet is about the state police chief who was convicted of raping a 4-year-old. I believe it was a family member, and he got 5 years, 1 year suspended. So 4 years. The state police chief, 4 years for raping a 4-year-old girl. On what planet do you get 4 years for that?
Well, this is really. I don't know if is there a Twitter jail? Because I cannot. I'm trying to tweet this scumbag's sex offender registry picture, and I don't know where it's going, but it's not going on the Twitter line. Very odd.
All right. Well, DM it to me, and we'll.
Yeah,
I'll try and tweet it out. I just tweeted a Shirley Temple video, and to the Traffic report. If anybody wants to take a look at it, the symbolism in there, it's pretty disturbing.
Your stuff is getting out.
I'm not shadow banned right now. I've checked a couple times, and I've been doing quite well on Twitter as of late. I mean, I guess they don't find me a threat at the moment.
I'm going to send you that picture right now.
Okay.
Here he comes, Marty. What a disgusting looking human being he is. God. And again, there's some prologue on him that I didn't give, but this scumbag, this serial child rapist, is still working with kids as an agent. He's writing a book. Who gives a fuck about anything he would have to say? And he's working with a group trying to lighten the sex offender laws in California. Is it, really? Does that surprise you, though? I mean, and you heard about the California, the law they just got passed that's decriminalized giving somebody HIV by some guy who's pushing this agenda. I can't even remember that asshole's name, but yeah. I mean, have they all gone crazy in California? I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was pretty rich. He's writing a book and trying to subvert, trying to get out that registry any way he can, But like that local guy that we found that we're dealing with, and he's went to ground. But we're his registry, so they're all. And I would hope that anybody that has a kid in that industry finds out who this Brian Peck guy, he'd get his registry picture and tweet it out and put it on Facebook and put it on posters, in LA, and make sure that anybody that has a kid in that business knows who these people are and to keep their kids. The hell away.
But John, I think the reality of this situation is that some parents genuinely don't care if that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do to make it in the business. Some people are so blinded by that fame. They just even if they had suspicions, they're not going to care. And even if they knew, I believe there are some people that, well, if that's what they have to do. Jesus. I just believe that because, one of the themes, and it kept saying, the reason why people did not want to speak out is because they would never work again in the business.
Yeah. But that seems to be changing. Hopefully. I mean, they're stepping up, and I think, if they're coming out, if it's sexual assault, this is sexual.
Hollywood has blackballed people for much, much less.
Yeah, I agree, but they're coming forward. That's
absolutely.
That's the point.
Until there's things in place, checks and balances in place where if you speak out, but at the same time, it's subjective. It's they don't hire you, and they don't. Listen, you're going to get blackballed. So, people have to make decisions, but who's going to be, unless a lot of people get together, then, and that's really where, like with anything, you build coalitions and you attack it, there's strength in numbers. We have all, these people, if you have right now, like a Corey Feldman out on an island, it's like, come on, dude. Well, where's Todd Bridges? Come to get, bring some people together.
Yeah.
Why they're not doing that, I'm not exactly sure. But
you would, and with social media, it's not that hard. Follow it. We'll tweet for you, Corey. We don't.
Right, but But at the same time, too, a lot of these people, they don't have. It's not like Corey Feldman has a massive career to lose. It's not like he's working in movies. It's not like, if a Macaulay, I don't know about Macaulay Culkin, but obviously he had his problems, and he put together the Pizza Underground, and something seems to be going on there. It's not as though, I believe he has a movie coming out, but it's not as though he's giving up millions of, would be giving up $1 million career, and hopefully, the money he's made from Home Alone, somebody's just got to say F it, and take a stand and say, I'm throwing it out there, people, but. And
I'm hoping. What I'm hoping is, because I know there's probably, I'd say, probably 20 at least big name Hollywood actors that are survivors. I would bet my life on it, especially the ones that came up as child stars. And we need somebody like a Johnny Depp, or just somebody that's on that A-list to step up and say, look, this happened to me, and I don't want it to happen to one more kid, and everything's going to. And Matt, they're those guys are not to be taken lightly. I mean, they have some really good connections, and they're right on the money. That 50 to 200 people that have made these decisions have been around for 30 years. They need to go. And I think they won't have a choice. When this is all over and all the lawsuits start flying and everything else, they'll have to step down, with new people in there, hopefully that will be, what changes the industry. Anyway, I got to talk about this Hera guy a little bit too, because what a disgusting.
You don't want to talk about Bryan Singer?
Well, I don't know enough. I don't like the people he hangs out with. But he's
been accused, dude.
By whom?
The director of the X-Men.
Who's accusing him?
I'll have to pull up the article.
Yeah, we need more info. Oh, believe me, we'll have a show on it.
The articles have been tweeted out. It's not. Here, I'll pull it.
Him, Dan Schneider, all of them. But this fuck Hera, 30 years he was doing this shit. He creates this little subgroup in SAG that he's the chairman of, and he's got 4 kids living at his house, and he just, the guy was a pedophile pimp, and I know he was pimping these kids out to all these other scumbags. And please, God, let somebody, and everybody that he's ever, raped come forward, have him charged, and make sure he's not able to just walk into the sunset like he did. And kudos to Amy Burke for that interview, because, man, she just got it right out of him. And just that, when you watch that, the cringe factor is unbelievable with that guy just sitting there. Oh, we're running out of time, but just sitting there saying, "Well, it's really all in their heads. It's only as bad as you make it." So
right.
Famous last words, asshole.
Yeah, I like the one.
So is prison. Love you, Howie.
All right, I tweeted out the Bryan Singer article, but he's been.
Make sure Marty's mugshot gets in.
Oh yeah. Okay, I got it.
See you Tuesday, everybody.
Great weekend.